everybody. Welcome or welcome back. My name is Ava, aka Queen Midas, and I'm here for another Wednesday Tribe Talk. Really quickly, I'm going to just get some house cleaning out of the way, I guess is what it's called. I am currently doing personal readings, and I will have my Calendly booking link down in the description box below, along with my emails as well. If you would like to get in touch with me, send me any suggestions about things that you'd like me to cover. So that will always be in my description boxes below. And I also I'm now linking any tarot cards that I use during my readings on camera, whether it's with the Star Chat with Natalie or Collective Cards with Stephanie. They will be linked in there as well. And as I always say with my any divination card reading, or if I'm using the pendulum board, take what resonates, leave what doesn't. Don't ever fully rely or make any life decisions based on divination tools that somebody else is using and channeling information to you. You know, you have free will. That's powerful. Use it and step into that and make your own wise life decisions. And don't put that much power in somebody else's hands. So now that that's out of the way, I wanted to talk to you all today about boundaries. I think this is very, very important because so many times in the cards and so many times nowadays just in people's videos and we see in society where boundaries are constantly being pushed, not being respected, being torn down or bashed, and it's just like this constant, seems like, infringement upon people's boundaries and rights. And I feel like a lot of us are learning to create healthy boundaries, and because we were not taught to do this when we were young. And it's just something, whether it's a religious upbringing, some sort of cultural construct, or environmental factor, whatever it is, I really feel that each individual needs to fully understand what they need in order to operate in their best and highest version of themselves. We all need to set these boundaries in order to step into that. So I want to talk about boundaries today. Okay, so first let's talk about what are boundaries. So boundaries are limits that are put in place for reasons of privacy, safety, security, well-being, or mental health. And they can separate physical space, feelings, emotions, needs, and responsibilities or obligations from others. So that is just a general explanation of what a boundary might be. And let's talk about next why we need boundaries. So boundaries will teach others how to treat us. They teach others what we will and won't accept in our lives in forms of treatment or personal space, intellectual space, sexuality, physical borders, things like that. So they also help us to keep what is ours and what is others separate and clearly defined. And that's a very important thing, especially as empaths. It's okay for us to express compassion and empathy and some sympathy, I guess. Maybe that kind of, to me, has almost like a negative connotation, but take it how it resonates. But it's okay for us to feel for another person and be human, feel that they are suffering and whatnot. However, it is not our responsibility to take on their burden, to try to solve their problems, to fix whatever it is in their life. It's not up to us to come in and save the day. So that is where we set clear boundaries between what we take on, what we don't take on, how much we allow ourselves to feel for another person, or how much we allow our other people to kind of dump and divulge information on us. And I know that's an area that I really I really struggled with, because a lot of people used to come to me and like divulge their whole life story, you know, and I guess it's because I'm easy to talk to, and I'm encouraging. Like I've said before, I'm like a natural cheerleader. So I'm like trying to I do my best to find the motivation and the encouragement in whatever somebody's doing, you know, but it gets to a point sometimes where a person won't do their own work or won't try to lift themselves out of that situation, and they just keep coming to lean on whoever they're going to as a crutch, and for to put a smile on their face or to make them laugh or whatever. And it's like, no, that's not what I'm here for. I'm not here for your entertainment. I'm not here to be your tissue when you're crying all the time. You know, it's like, I'm here to support, but I'm not here to do your dirty work and clean stuff up and fix you. And I think a lot of us, especially empaths, are try to be fixers and try to be saviors. That's not our job. Okay, so next thing is boundaries allow us to avoid being taken advantage of by others. And it's kind of what I was just talking about, where people will kind of just dump all of their stuff on us and keep loading and loading and loading and loading. And then sometimes it's hard for the empath or the person who opens up to others to find that support in someone else. You know, it's like looking up and then nobody's there for their support. Sorry, I'm just looking over my notes. Okay, so an example of this where you can learn how to avoid being taken advantage of by others is saying no more, declining offers, declining obligations, asking people to respect your time and space more, because a lot of times people will give an inch and that boundary will be overstepped significantly. So that is a really an area I think that a lot of us should be assessing and just looking at, where am I allowing too much intrusion on my personal life, on my boundaries, on my energy, on my intellect. Yeah, I think that's all on that point. Y'all, I'm sorry if I'm like stopping or slowing down. I'm kind of channeling at the same time, and whatever comes up, I'm saying. So I have notes here, but it's like sometimes I slow down to like get the information fully formulated and out. Okay, boundaries also create realistic expectations for ourselves and others. By clearly communicating what you will and won't put up with, that helps us to decrease any gray areas and any situations where anger or resentment might be a result of miscommunication and unclear boundaries. So that's really, really important, because you know, people need to know what is expected. I think it's actually, people deserve to know what is expected of them when they show up in a relationship, when they show up in a partnership, when they show up at a job. It's like you set the standard of what you will and won't accept. And either the person comes and they meet that standard or they don't. And that's okay. However, if you don't meet the standard, you don't get to play. You know what I mean? Like that's it. That's it. There should be, I think, the time for wiggle room and allowing people to just get away with overstepping here, or not acknowledging this there, or just being like, oh, well, I'm this relation to this person, so I can treat them however what way. No, that time is over. You know, the time for us to all step into our sovereignty and all step into our power and treat, first and foremost, ourselves with respect, but also treat others with love and respect. That time is now. So that's another reason why I want to talk about boundaries. So they are also a form of self-care, because again, if we're setting these conditions that need to be met in order for a person to be able to interact, that helps to protect our emotional, our mental, our spiritual state, because we're only letting a certain frequency and vibration into our space. You know, if you're out in public or a bigger city or something, there's a lot of humans around, and there's a lot of auric space that is shared. However, the interactions that we consciously choose, we get to set the tone for the vibration and the frequency that we allow to share that time and space with. Boundaries also allow us to be authentic with ourselves as we evolve as a soul. And I've kind of touched on this. So it helps us to, or they help us to learn more about ourselves, you know, because it's like we come into this world as a pure sovereign soul, and then we get little pieces of us kind of like peeled away and covered up, and this is how we act around here, or this is what our family has been, this is our legacy, or this is what you're being raised as, or this is what's expected of you, blah 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 blah. So it's like we take on these other roles and personas, and here, I'll put this jacket on, that's this other personification of whatever somebody else's expectation is, you know. So it's a lot of it is added on stuff into our lives that isn't necessarily us at our purest version of ourselves as a soul. So when we start to learn ourselves more and go inside and just be quiet and still, and learn about who we really are, learn about what we need, especially at that point in our healing journey, because healing is a journey. You're never finished. You just get more lessons, and the lessons evolve, or the cycle is closed, or it's like we like evolve and we grow and we learn more about ourselves in that process. And that's the beautiful thing. That's why I'm constantly talking about learn your lessons and ask for help from divine creator, from Yahshua, from your angels, from your guides, from your ancestors. Ask for help, so that, because we as humans, we can't see, we can see from a certain level, you know, but it's so beautiful that we have these eyes and these antennas in subtle realms that can help us to move forward and to identify these lessons that we can't always see on our own. We have eyes in our blind spots. I love that. Yeah, so lessons help us evolve as a soul. That's what karma is. It's us working through our crap. It's us doing our soul work so that we can continue to evolve and become more and more complex and beautiful. We're already complex, but it's like I don't know, it's almost like forming, like shaping, taking a raw stone and like continually chipping away and like shaping it and molding it into the beauty that's like hidden within. It's beautiful raw. It's so beautiful raw. We all are. But it's like the refining process that reveals the potency of that stone. That's so cool. Okay, so you all, I'm going to share the screen because I figured it would just be easier to share this awesome website that I found about the types of boundaries. So I'm going to share the screen really quickly. Okay, so this website is MBG Relationships. It looks like it's health coaching, and this woman, Elizabeth Earnshaw, licensed marriage and family therapist. So I'm just saying all that because I want to give her credit. because this is her website. So she really did a good job at laying out some boundaries and different types of boundaries, and she goes through 6. So let's start with physical boundaries. Here it says physical boundaries include your needs for personal space, your comfort with touch, and your physical needs like needing to rest, eat food, and drink water, like the basics, you all. It is okay to let people know that you don't want to be touched or that you need more space. That's so okay. Even if you're a child, especially if you're a child, you know, people just like think just because this human is little and cute and their parents are parading them, corralling them around, you know, because that's who is in charge of them, I guess, watching them. But they think that it's like they can just go up and like touch and hug the kid and everything, and like that's okay, and like the kid's not allowed to say that they don't want to be touched or they just want to be left alone or I'm tired, you know. And so I really feel like a lot of times kids aren't given a voice or given this space, or their physical boundaries are not respected when it comes to that. This is totally just coming up right now, but they're definitely a group that is doesn't necessarily have a voice, and somebody has to speak up for them. Okay, so here are some examples of what physical boundaries might sound like. I'm really tired. I need to sit down now. I'm not a big hugger. I'm a handshake person. That's important. Everybody's not a hugger, and that's okay. You know, we are all different. I'm allergic to blank, so we can't have that in our home. I think that one's really important too, with all of the crazy allergies nowadays. Like, people are allergic to the craziest stuff. So it's okay. While I don't necessarily think that's like a natural thing for us, it's a thing in our world right now. And I really feel like that needs to be respected, because there are some allergies that are not conducive to living situations, meaning like people can end up getting taken off the earth plane because they are of their allergies. So yeah, very important to respect that. No, I don't want you to touch me like that. That is highly important right there. Don't go into my room without asking first. That right there, I feel like siblings, you know, parents with their children, even this one can be touchy, but even like partnerships or marriages where somebody has a studio space or an office or something where they do their work or they hold that space sacred, and it's like, I mean, that could seem like they're hiding something, but it's not. That's not always the case. Sometimes they just want their space left alone and kept untouched from other people's energy, and like, why are you going through my stuff anyway? You know what I mean? So yeah, let's respect that. And okay, so now it says physical boundary violations feel like receiving inappropriate or unwanted touch, being denied your physical needs, told to keep walking when you're tired or that you need to wait to eat or drink, or having someone come into your personal space in a way that is uncomfortable. For example, entering your room without permission. This can vary on a spectrum from mild to severe. The most severe violations result in serious physical abuse or neglect. Interesting. And I mean, that makes perfect sense. So the second type is emotional boundaries, and they are about respecting and honoring feelings and energy. Setting emotional boundaries means recognizing how much emotional energy you are capable of taking in. That's very important. Knowing when to share and when not to share, and limiting emotional sharing with people who respond poorly. Totally. Respecting emotional boundaries means validating the feelings of others and making sure you respect their ability to take in emotional information. So I'll just give a couple of examples what this sounds like. Here's one. When I share my feelings with you and get criticized, it makes me totally shut down. I can only share with you if you are able to respond respectfully to me. That's really good. And it's like thorough, it's to the point, and it's letting the other party know what is needed. you know. Another one, I'm having a hard time and I really need to talk. Are you in a place to listen right now? This is cool because it's letting the person, the receiver of the information, know that the person sending the message really needs to talk, and their emotional state essentially. But it's also honoring the boundaries of the other person by asking if they're available to listen. And I love that it says listen right here. Like, this is letting the receiver of the message know that I don't need you to give me wisdom or steps 1 through 3 to get out of this. I just need somebody to listen to me. I need to be heard. That's really beautiful right there. Some emotional boundary violations include dismissing or criticizing feelings, you all. That's so big right now with gaslighting or just emotional neglect. Assuming that we know how other people feel. Like, we can never know exactly how someone else feels. We might have an idea of the situation that they're in, but like, let people be who they are and let them express how they feel, because we are not looking through their eyes, you know. Emotionally dumping on people without their permission. That has happened to me. I have done that to people. That's just not very healthy, and it's not respecting other people's boundaries and what they can handle at that time. You never know what the other person who you're speaking to has gone through. Like, they could be having the heaviest day, and then you're like, hey, here's this crap, deal with it and listen, you know. Like, so I really feel like this goes back to the are you in a place to listen right now? That's beautiful. Okay, and here's time boundaries. Your time is valuable, and it's important how it is utilized. Setting time boundaries is incredibly important at work, home, and socially. They help you to understand your priorities and setting aside enough time for the many areas of your life without overcommitting. That's so big. I've done that so many times in my life. When you understand your priorities, it is much easier to limit the amount of time you are giving to other people. Yes. So healthy time boundaries might sound like, I can't come to that event this weekend. I can only stay for an hour. Do you have time to chat today? We have family time on Sundays, so we won't make it. I'm happy to help with that. My hourly rate is. So these are all different versions or different ways of expressing different or your boundaries around time and it seems like to different social groups. So the I can't come this weekend, or I can only stay for an hour, seems like it might be, I'll just say, like, let's say that's between friends, or we have family times on Sundays, so we won't make it. That's like somebody speaking for their family or for them and their partner or something. I'm happy to help with that. My hourly rate is. This is in obviously like a transactional situation where somebody is stating what they deserve to be paid for their time, for that exchange of energy. So those are all really good examples. Violated time boundaries look like asking professionals for their time without paying them, okay? Demanding time from people, keeping people in conversations or on task for longer than we told them we would. That's big. Showing up later, canceling on people because we are overcommitted. I've totally done that. And contacting people when they say they would be unavailable. Like, that's totally overstepping boundaries, and that's very, very rude. It's like, didn't I say I was napping right now? Like, why are we having this conversation? So yeah, y'all, like, let's try to be more respectful of time. Definitely. I mean, let's be respectful of all of these things, but I just feel like time is a really big one for people. And emotional as well. Okay, sexual boundaries. This is highly, highly, highly important. So y'all listen up. Healthy sexual boundaries include consent, agreement, respect, understanding of preferences and desires, and privacy. So big. Those boundaries include asking for consent, not assuming it, asking for it, discussing and asking for what pleases you. That's a really big thing, especially between partners, when it comes to intimacy and getting onto that level where we are receiving what we need out of the relationship, because I feel like a lot of the church has made sex to be this like dirty thing that we shouldn't talk about, and it's just taboo, like we don't just get what you are given, and but don't talk about it, and you shouldn't even really be wanting it, you know, like it's just weird. So I think it's highly important to discuss and ask what pleases you, especially if it's between two consenting adults who are in a relationship. That's highly important for the vitality and the health of the relationship as well, and for that connection between the two beautiful souls. Requesting condom use if you want it, discussing contraception, both of those highly important. Saying no to things that you do not like or that hurt you. Protecting the privacy of the other person, for sure. Not just going and putting your business all out on the street and airing dirty laundry. That's not cool. Some examples might sound like, do you want to have sex now? Is this comfortable for you? I don't like that. Let's try something different. I don't want to have sex tonight. Can we cuddle instead? I like that because it's like, I'm not feeling this, but here's where my boundary is today. Like that's actually really cool, because it's like, I'm not totally saying no. However, I have the energy to give this right now. That's cool. I'm really into blank. Is that something you would feel comfortable with? So these are all really good examples of how to approach what you need as far as sexual boundaries are concerned. Some violations include sulking, punishing, or getting angry if someone does not want to have sex with you. That's pathetic, y'all. Not asking for consent. That's disgusting. I mean, that might sound like judgy, but not asking for consent, that's not cool at all, ever, for male, female, anybody, especially children. Never cool. Pressure to engage in unwanted sexual acts, unwanted sexual comments, leering, lying about contraceptive use, lying about your health history, criticizing the other person's sexual preferences, unwanted touch, assault, or rape. Yeah, that's a very sensitive boundary for sure, and can be very detrimental to other people. And I feel like if that boundary is overstepped, it oversteps emotional, physical boundaries as well. Yeah, that's interesting. That's just coming to me. All right, so 5, intellectual boundaries. These refer to your thoughts, ideas, and curiosity. Healthy intellectual boundaries include respect for the ideas of other people, and they can be violated when your thoughts and curiosity are shut down, dismissed, or belittled. Respectfulness and willingness to dialogue and understand are important here, totally. Healthy intellectual boundaries are also mean considering whether or not it is a good time to talk about something. Some examples are, I would love to talk about this more, but I don't think talking about it during Thanksgiving dinner is the best time. So that's like letting someone know that they are open to the discussion, however, not at this time. When we talk about this, we don't get very far. I think it's a good idea to avoid the conversation right now. I think that's really important, especially if it's a heated topic, clearly right here, and just the people's heads aren't level and cooled down enough to see clearly and communicate from a higher frequency point of view. So sometimes it's just conversations can get cyclical. So I like that one. I can respect that we have different opinions on this. That's really cool. So agreeing to disagree, just like at the top, I know we disagree. Oh, wait, not just like at the top. So this one's different. I know we disagree, but I won't let you belittle me like that. So this is like acknowledging that you're not on the same page with someone, but you're also putting your foot down and being like, you don't talk to me that way. I love that. This is totally a really, this is like a more defined boundary where you're letting somebody know you don't treat me like that. This is where like the lines being drawn in the sand. Does this mean that you need to be accepting of all thoughts and opinions? Absolutely not. It is important to learn to recognize the difference between healthy and unhealthy discourse. If someone is sharing an opinion that is inherently harmful, for example, sexism, racism, xenophobia, homophobia, etc., then you have every right to put a hard line in the sand. Totally. You can set the boundary in your own way. It might sound like letting the person know you do not tolerate that kind of talk, distract or distancing yourself from them, or cutting off. You do not have to have intellectual discourse with someone who is violating you or other people. That's so true. You don't have to put up with any type of conversation that just doesn't feel right within you, that either makes you uncomfortable or sounds hateful or acidic toward yourself or other groups of people, or however that might look. But yeah, if you're feeling uncomfortable in it, then remove yourself from the situation and let people know that you're not comfortable with it. I do want to say something else to the uncomfortable component there, though. Sometimes our uncomfortable state of being or the triggers that might come up in conversation, those are our road maps for us. Those are signs that are like, why am I, like, it's wise to stop and question why am I being triggered? Why is this so uncomfortable for me? Is there a lesson here? Like, what can I learn from this? And it's totally okay to first remove yourself from the situation and then go back through and assess when you're separated from there. But I found quite a few of my lessons by doing that. Like, oh my God, that rubbed me the wrong way. Why don't I like this person? Why don't I like that conversation? Like, what? Yeah. So a lot of times that is triggers are a beautiful thing to help us to learn things within ourselves that are not fully healed and need to be addressed. So that is one thing that I want to touch on. Here's the last one: material boundaries. Material boundaries refer to items and possessions like your home, car, clothing, jewelry, furniture, money, etc. It is healthy to understand that you can and cannot share, or what you can and cannot share, and how you expect your items and materials to be treated by the people you share with them. Having limits on how your material items are treated is healthy and prevents resentment over time. This might sound like, I can't lend out my car, I'm the only person on the insurance, like, which makes total sense. We can't give any more money. We would be happy to help in another way. I love that one. That's similar to another boundary earlier, where it's like, I'm not available to do this, however, I can help this way, or this is what I have the capacity of doing. That's beautiful. And the last one, sure, I'm happy to share my dress with you. Just a heads up, I do need it back by Friday. So this is like a, yes, you can borrow this. Here's your time limit. Highly, highly important. I did have, I've been the person over borrowing, and I've also had people over borrow stuff on me and ruin it or throw it away after they ruined it and not say anything to me. And like, that was just gonna be okay, you know, like, I don't know, it's just so weird. And I remember feeling how it's weird, almost like betrayed, or just like my input on my belongings didn't matter because I had a friend that borrowed a pretty expensive dress from me, went out, we were at the same event. She stayed longer, ended up being too drunk, got sick on herself in her car, in my dress, threw the dress away. Yeah, I find out like, I don't know, a week or so later when I'm like, hey, can I get my dress back? Blah, blah, blah. She's like, girl, I threw that away because, and then goes into like feeling bad about, like, almost like I have so much shame around that night. I'm like, okay, but what about my dress? Like, what are we gonna do to fix that? You know, like, so but still that hasn't been resolved. And y'all, this is total side note, but I want to relate it back to something that I've experienced personally, because I'm pretty sure that a lot of people have had these boundaries overstepped as well. And that's just not cool. It's not cool. Like, yes, they're material things, but it's almost like, if what's the point of us having our own stuff and almost forming like not attachments, but just a sense of like home and familiarity with our things, And yes, this can go different ways because we shouldn't feel attached or weighed down by stuff, or like that's part of our identity, and that's not where I'm going. But there's a sense of familiarity with us and our stuff. And for people to just come in and trample all over it and treat it however they want and do stuff with it or make their own decision around our things and throw it out and just like, we're not going to talk about it. Maybe it won't get brought up, and then, oh, it's getting brought up, but let me talk about the bad night that I had around that situation. And we're not going to talk about what I did to your things. Like, that's just so crazy to me. It's still really, really crazy to me. And it really hurt because it was one of my closest friends at the time. So that was really, really strange to me. Anyway, we're going to keep moving forward. So material boundaries are violated when your things are destroyed or stolen, or when they are borrowed too frequently. Another material violation is the use of materials, money, and possessions to manipulate and control relationships. Wow. I did not think about that. So that's like narcissistic situations where maybe somebody's like holds the wallet, or somebody has the house, or like takes keys from someone and traps them in their home and just like limits access to resources. Wow. Yeah, totally violation. The more we set boundaries, the more we recognize them. In setting boundaries, we help people show up for us, and we also become better at showing up for them. I love that. In the words of Brene Brown, clear is kind. That's beautiful. That's so true. Awesome. So now I am going to stop the share. Okay. Sorry, you all. Weird. Okay, there it is. I'm like, I know the button's here, y'all. Okay. Sharing has stopped. All right. So this is getting a little bit long, but I want to wrap this up with how we should behave when our boundaries are not respected. And I just have 3 really quick things and really quick ways to address that and be the Queen of Swords if we need to in our life. So let's start with 1. Speak up. Mention that you feel that your boundaries are not being acknowledged or respected. So how is somebody going to know, which I feel like innately well, not always. I don't know. I feel like people kind of know when they mistreat another person, but that's not always the case either. So let me just, whatever. Anyway, speak up. If somebody doesn't quite know how they have disrespected you or stepped on your toes or overstepped a boundary or whatever, remind them. Be like, hey, I talked about this the other day and here we are, and you're not respecting this boundary. Speak up. Remind them of what you said before. So that's number 1. Number 2, take space. Separate from people, places, groups, or situations that either get offended at the fact that you've set boundaries and are enforcing them. So, that either get offended at the fact that you've set boundaries and are enforcing them, or they just totally don't even care. So I would give these people, places, groups, whatever, a cool off period so that their heads can be more cleared. It's the conversation's not heated or as touchy as it would be right in those moments. And maybe reapproach these people when a little bit down the road, when a clear perspective can be had, so that you're not operating right in the moment in emotion, because there's a bigger chance of that not going as well. And the third thing to do is reiterate. If you've taken that space, come back to the relationship and restate those boundaries again and be like, okay, let's, here's what it is. either respect it and we can move forward, or if they don't want to respect it, walk away. So if somebody refuses to treat you the way that you need to be treated, the way that you feel you deserve to be treated, or what you need for your physical, mental, emotional, sexual, spiritual health, whatever that might be, walk away, you all. There are so many humans in this world that are ready and willing to respect your boundaries and meet you at the vibrational or the frequency that you deserve to be met at. Walk away, cut the crap out, cut the relationships out, cut anything out that is not serving you and is not treating you, or even willing or open to treating you the way that you deserve to be treated as a sovereign, beautiful soul. Okay, so yeah, this went a little bit long. However, I just really felt the need to discuss boundaries and how to navigate situations where they're not being respected. So use your voice, you all. Use your voice. Use your beautiful, beautiful voice at this time. Yeah, there's a lot of scales and a lot of weights being lifted off of us, and a lot of stuff. A lot of people are doing a lot of resolving within themselves. So be respectful of other people's boundaries as well. That's highly, highly important. Yeah, so I love you all. Thank you for joining me for another Tribe Talk. Again, I am doing personal readings. My booking link is below in the description box, along with my email. And anything else? Yeah. Thank you for joining. You are sovereign, powerful, worthy, and loved. I love you all so much. Thank you for being here, and have a great day. Love you. Bye.
Every day is a gift.